Hello, welcome to part 3. Let's finish the bag. Okay, we left off, we finished round 35. Now we're going to start round 36 and we're going to start with 11 plain. So 11 single crochet in a row. That's 1, 2, I'll be right back. Okay, that's 11 plain, and that brought us to our 3 beads, and we're going to work 3 beads over the 3 beads that are from the previous round. One, two, and 3. Now we're going to work 21 plain in a row. So here is the repeat on this one. We don't repeat the 11. We're going to work 3 bead, 21 plain, and 3 bead over and over and over again all the way to the end. And then we're going to start on the 37th round. So that's the repeat. 21 plain followed by 3 bead stitches. Okay, so I will be back for round 37. Okay, all done with round 36. Now let's move on to round 37. And once again, my chain 1 is too loose. Here we go. We're going to need some beads this time around. We're going to start with 1 bead in our first stitch, our joining stitch. Okay, now let's work 9 plain and 5 beads. We're going to work our way over to our repeat. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'll work the rest of these off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, 9 plain. Now we're going to work 5 bead and 9 plain again. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 9 plain. So I'll be right back. I'll do those off camera really quick. Okay, there's our 9 plain. Now we need to work 1 bead. 1. There we go. Into the next stitch over. And we're going to work 9 plain and 5 bead again. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to work that off camera. That was 9 plain after the 1 bead. Now we work 5 bead in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we start our repeat with 9 bead, 9 plain, forgive me. So we're going to ignore this first stitch, and once again, we are going to work this. So we just worked our 5 bead. Now we jump up to here and we work the 9 plain, 5, 9, 1, 9, 5, 9. Okay, and here is how that looks on the graph. Okay, and there is your written instructions. All right, So I'm going to work that all around, and I will be back for round 38. Okay, all done with round 37. I have joined with the slip stitch, chained one, and now we're ready to move on to round 38. If I said 37, I think I said 37. Okay. We're going to start with 2 bead stitches. So it looks like we're starting another little diamond. So back into our joining stitch. And let's work 2 bead stitches in a row. Okay, there's the second stitch. Now we're going to work 8 plain in a row. So I will go ahead and do that off camera since that isn't anything new to see. I'll be right back. 8 plain worked. Now we're going to maintain our 5 bead. So let's work 5 bead stitches over the 5 bead stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go 5. Now we're going to work 8 plain and 3 bead. Okay, so I will be back to work the 3 bead stitches with you. I'm going to work these 8 off camera. Okay, let's work 3 bead. We are building up on this little diamond now. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 8 plain and 5 bead again. So we're going to work 8 plain, and when we get to these, we're just going to maintain the 5 beads. So work 5 bead stitches over 5 bead stitches of the previous round. And that's the repeat. And once again, we are going to work the instructions following our starting instructions. So right now we are here. Well, where are we? Okay, yes, right now we are here. We're going to work these 8 plain, then 5 bead, then jump over and work 8 plain, 5 bead, 8, 3. So just keep working that. Here is the graph for you. So you can see what we are doing. 3, 8, 5, 8, 3. Okay? So I will be back for round 39. Okay, so that was an easy round. Now let's start on round 39, and we're going to start with 1 bead stitch to complete our little diamond here. So right back into our joining stitch. There we go. And let's work our way over to our repeat. We're going to work 4 plain, 1 bead, 5 plain. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 bead. Now we work 1 bead and 5 plain. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have ran into a discrepancy with the pattern. So it says here we start off with 1 bead, and I have done that. That completes our little diamond. We start off with 1 bead, then we work 4 plain. I did that. We work 1 bead, and then it says to work 5 plain, 5 bead, 4 plain, but that's not represented here. First of all, on this row, we have 1 bead, 3 plain, and then our 5, but there's no 3 plain anywhere on this row. So let's look at this. Okay, because here's what I'm running into. If I work 5 plain, like it says, I've worked 3, here is 4, and here is 5. Now I am behind a bead. I'm supposed to maintain 5 beads here. So if I work 5 beads like it says, my last bead is going to be off the edge over here, right here. Here's where my last bead will be worked. There we go, right there. So it's not right. Plus, we can see that there are 3 beads, or 3 plain, between this whole section here. I looked at the picture, the drawing, and that seems about right. You see, this is the area, where are we at? See, where are we at on here? Okay, so the next row is going to tell us to work, yes, that's all correct, 3 bead, 3 bead, 3 bead, 3 bead across the board on round 40. So this is just not correct. So I think this time we're going to have to go based off of the graph, unless the graph is incorrect. Let's look at how these diamonds are on the bag. And actually, they go up into a point like this. Is that represented here? That's a little narrow. So maybe it is only supposed to be, maybe we follow what the pattern says, although I can't really in this moment because I'm in the wrong spot. So I'm only going to be able to do 4. It does say to do 4 quite a bit on this row, so I'm going to say to do 4 instead of 5 right here. Now let's work the 5 beads. Let's try following the pattern as it's written and see which looks more correct, the pattern or the graph. Okay, so let's do 5 beads. Oops. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Now, according to the graph, it's supposed to be that way. Let me put this back here so it's easier to see. Okay, because we're supposed to have 1, 2, 3 rows in a row with 5 beads. And let's look at the drawing. Yes, 3. 1, 2, 3 rows in a row. So that is correct. Okay, now it says to work 5 space again. See here, we're supposed to work 5 space. Okay, no. 5 bead, 4 space, 1 bead, 4 space. See, that to me seems correct. So let's do 4 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we put 1 bead. And then it says to work 4 space, 1 bead, 4 space. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 bead. Wait. Here we go. Now we work 1 bead, then 4 space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we work 1 bead. And then we work 4 space and 5 bead. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, now the math is mathin'. Now it's making sense. Working our 5 bead here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's look at what our repeat needs to be. Now it is making sense. Yes. Okay. So as far as the repeat goes, we're completely going to not repeat that because that's right here. And right here, let me fix this. This should be 4 single crochet. Okay, so we just finished working our 5. Wait a minute. Yes, we just finished working our 5. So now you're going to work your 4 space, 1 bead, 4 space, 1 bead, 4 space, 5. So do we just ignore all of this then? Probably. 4. Okay, here's where we started. Here's what our repeat needs to be. You work your 5 beads, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5. Okay? So we can almost eliminate this altogether. This doesn't even need to be here. 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5. That's the repeat. I know I wasn't even holding it straight. I'm sorry, I was reading. 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5. Just ignore this. This we only need for the very beginning of all of this here. After that, our repeat goes from here to here. Okay? So we will continue to work round 39, and I will be back when we are ready for round 40. Okay, so that wound up working out all the way around. Let's take a look at that before we move on. There we go. I do have a little maker's mark oopsie there. I missed a bead in the previous round. So we'll just roll this way and pretend that doesn't exist. Here is how it is starting to take shape. I really, really like this a lot. Here we go. Fill it out. There we go. Really, really nice. Okay. Oh, rolled that the wrong way. Okay, let's move on to round 40. Did I do that the wrong way again? Okay, so with round 40, we're gonna start with 4 single crochet or 4 plain in a row. So I had to join a new strand of beads, so it might be a little difficult for me to see where my first stitch goes. It's kind of a mess. I think it goes right here. Ouch. Okay, 1. Just a moment. I have to pull this closer to my eye. I found my second stitch. Oh no, I just lost it. Okay, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to work 3 bead. So we're just going to disregard the rest of the graph because it's not going to be accurate since that last round was a mess. Every round on that little graph portion is going to be wrong after that. So now we're going to work on this little diamond. So let's work 3 bead. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now we're going to work 4 plain, 3 bead, 4 plain. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, dang it. There we go. 4, 3 bead. What we got here? 1, 2, and 3. Then 4 plain again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to work 3 bead, 7 plain, 3 bead. Oh, okay, yeah, because we already completed that diamond. All right. So 1, 2, and 3. 7 plain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then 3 bead again to work on this diamond. If I said complete, I didn't mean to. We're building the center portion of the little diamonds here. There we go. That's 3 bead. And then we work 4 plain, 3 bead. 1, 2, 3. The 4th one lands behind a bead. 4, 3 bead. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that is our repeat. We're just about completing this Fleur De Lis. That is our repeat there. So 3 bead. Yes, we're going to ignore this portion here. And you're going to jump up and you're going to do your 4 plain, 3, 4, 3, 7, 3, 4, 3, then back up to 4 again. And let's not worry about this because it's not correct anymore. So I will see you guys when we are ready for round 41. Okay, all done with round 40. Now let's work round 41. We're going to start with 5 plain. Just work that first one off camera so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to complete these diamonds. Okay. Now we're going to work 1 bead, 6 plain, 1 bead, 6 plain. Okay. 1 bead, 6 plain, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we work 1 bead, 6 plain. I'll be right back. I'll do those off camera really quick. Okay, then 1 bead, then 6 plain, and really quick one more time. I'll just bust those out really quick off camera. That's 2. I'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to work, we just worked the 1 bead. Now we're going to work 9 plain. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work right over toward that other little diamond there. 4, 5. We're working over the top of this one. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then we work the 1 bead again. Oh no. Okay, 1 bead to complete this diamond. And we work 6 plain again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we start our repeat. 1 bead, 6 plain, 1, 9 plain, 1 bead, 6 plain, then back up to 1 bead again. That's the repeat. So now I'm going to work my 1 bead as the start of our new repeat. There we go. Then I'll work 6, 1 bead, 9, 1 bead, 6, then back to 1 bead again. I will see you guys for round 42. Okay, now we're ready to move on to round 42. That one there is all done. Round 42 is going to be really easy. I really don't even need to show you. You're going to start with 1 bead, then work 23 plain, 1 bead, 23 plain, 1 bead all around. Very, very easy. You really don't need me to show you that. So let's go ahead and work this round, and we will meet back up when we are ready for round 43. Okay? So there we go. I'll be right back. Very easy. start with your one bead. Okay, all done with round 42. Now let's go ahead and start round 43, and we're going to start with 2 bead stitches. So as we know, my biggest struggle is finding my very first stitch. Just a moment, I got to get this up close to my eyes. Okay, I had to work my first 2 stitches off camera because I just need to be able to see what I'm doing, and those are kind of tight stitches for some reason. All right, now we're going to work 6 plain in a row. 1, 5, and 6. Okay, 1 bead. And we're going to work 7 plain in a row. 6 and 7. Okay, now we're going to work 1 bead and 6 plain. It's 1 bead. Now 1, 5, and 6. Now we're going to work 3 bead followed by 6 plain. So the 3 bead are going to build up on this little star now. One, 2, and 3. Okay, followed by 6 plain, 5, and 6. We're going to work 1 bead, 7 plain, 1 bead. 1 bead, 7 plain, 1, 6, 7, and then 1 bead. Okay, so let's look at our repeat. Okay, so our repeat this time is going to ignore all of this up here. Our repeat ends here and then starts right here. Okay, so when we just worked the 1 bead, now we're going to jump over and work 6 plain, 3 beads, 6 plain, 1 bead, 7 plain, 1 bead, 6 plain. Okay, that is the repeat for round 43. So I will meet back up with you when we get back around to the end with 1 bead to complete. See, we started with 2, so you will end with 1 bead. And then we will move on to round 44. So I went ahead and started round 44 only because my first 2 stitches are just the hardest for me to see under camera because for some reason they're tight stitches. So you're going to start with 2 bead stitches into your first bead stitch into your joining stitch and then the next stitch over. Okay, now we're going to work 1 single crochet. Now we are beginning, actually the last round, we started the next round of Fleur De Lis. So that's what we are building on now. Okay, we're going to work 2 bead stitches. So that was 1 plain, 2 bead. Here we go. 1 and 2. Now we're going to work 2 plain and 3 bead stitches. 1, 2 plain, and 1, 2, oh no, 2, and 3 bead stitches. There we go. Okay, now we're going to work 5 plain, 3 bead, 2 plain. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 bead, 1, 2, and 3, followed by 2 plain, 1, 2, there you go. Now we're going to work 2 bead, 1 plain, 3 bead, 1, 2, 1 plain, and 3 bead over the 3 bead of the previous round. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 1 plain and 2 bead, and then we will figure up what our repeat is. 1 plain and 1, 2 bead. Okay, let's look at our work. Here is how the work is looking now. And I'll show you what it is that we're working. It's going to be this section right here is what we are working. You see how we worked the 3 bead over the 3 bead from the previous round, and we worked 2 here, 2 here. So this is the section that we are working on now. Let's figure up our repeat. Okay, so here is our repeat. We're going to ignore all of this. When you finish working your 2 bead at the end of the repeat, you jump over to the 2 plain and you carry on from there. Okay, so since this pattern, I've had to practice with it a little bit and make sure I had it right. You can see my crimping from where I practiced. So since this part of the pattern is starting us off in the middle of a Fleur De Lis, we have to start off in the middle of it too. We have to start with 1 bead, 1 single crochet, 1 bead, 2 single, 1 bead, 7 single. So we're going to start right here, and by the time we get to the end of the repeat, we start right here at the 4. So this is really going to help you figure out. This is what I used to help me figure it out. You know, not much we can do about this portion right here where it's an error, but this is what helped me because we're starting right here in the middle of the floor. So we're right here right now. This is the row that we're on. We have to work 1 bead, 1 plain, 4 bead, 2 plain, 1 bead, 7 plain, 1 bead, and then move on to the next, to the other side. Right here is where we pick back up. 2 bead, 4 plain, 1 plain, bead, plain, 4 bead, just like that over and over again. Therefore, we're going to start right here. This is how we're going to start the round. And so it'll be like that. This may be a pattern, you know, I don't normally say this, but this may be a pattern where picking up the physical pattern may almost be required, because it's not going to be very easy for you to just rewind and follow the instructions, since the instructions, when the pattern is like this, where you've got the floors coming between the first 2 you made, the pattern is going to be different. But then it's going to end in a way where I believe we're going to have 4 and then 3. You know, so the pattern, you'll be able to follow it every other segment. You know what I mean? You have to sort of figure it up along the way with these between segments like we're doing right now. So we have to start with a bead, then work a plain, and then work 4 bead. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, following along with the pattern, right here, we just worked a bead, a plain, 4 bead, and then we're just going to follow the rest. So 2 plain, 1 bead, 7 plain. Okay, 1, 2. Now this will take us to the point where we can complete this little star with 1 bead and then 7 plain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now it's going to tell us to do 1 bead and 2 single crochet, 2 plain. So 1 bead to complete this little star. There we go. 2 plain, 1 and 2. And now that we have reached the end, we're going to jump over here and start with the 4 bead. 4 bead, 1 plain, and just keep on going over and over again. So you may actually genuinely need to just pick this pattern up to be able to follow along. The next round, will be this round right here. And so once again, we will start with 1 bead, 1 plain, 2 bead. Let's look at where that is. 1 bead, 1 plain, 2 bead. Right here. Here's where we start the next round. 1 bead, 1 plain, 2 bead, and we go from there. Okay, so I really highly recommend picking up the pattern. Just wanted to check in with my progress so far. I'm almost done with my 3rd row of the Fleur De Lis. So to help you out a little bit here, and of course I'm going to show you, like I typically do, sections of this as, you know, at the end, so that, you know, if you can't pick up the pattern, you can just pause the video. But what I wound up doing for the 2nd row, because as you know, the 2nd row, we start just like this, in the middle of the floor. And on the 1st and 3rd rounds, or sections of the Fleur De Lis, we start on the side. I mean, not on the side like this, but you know what I'm saying. We start basically right here. So for the 2nd section, everywhere you see that it's hot pink is where you start the round, and everywhere where it's neon yellow is where the repeat starts. And I just kept all of my same markings because my 3rd section of Fleur De Lis starts precisely how the 1st one does. So that was very helpful. When I got down to row 42, I could no longer work these rows. I had to jump back over to where we first started, and I even wrote down right here for row 42, 43, and 44. 42, 43, and 44 don't count by the end of the 2nd section of the Fleur De Lis. So it's pretty confusing, but that's how the pattern is to be read. I even marked up what to start with. Like in this round right here, we don't start with 3 beads, we start with 2. Here we start with instead of 5 beads, we start with 3. And that would be for this row and this row, this row and this row, gets those instructions. It's all wrote down. This row right here, we start with 3 beads instead of 5. Again, we start with 2 beads instead of 3. And that brings us, this row here is worked the beginning, and then the repeat just goes from here. And then row 42, you work it as written, nothing special. You just work it precisely exactly as written. Now that is going to be for your second section of Fleur De Lis and your fourth section, which I have not worked yet. Okay, so I'm going to go over this pattern really quick with you, and then I'll hold it up for you so that you can just pause the screen and work it at your own pace. Okay, so first things first, I'm just going to go ahead and hold up this portion of the pattern for you, the very start of it. And here is the Greek key portion, the chart. There is the Fleur De Lis chart. Okay, so whenever, I know this is a mess, just take my mess, and if you pick up this pattern, rewrite all of this out in a nice, neat way, but I was figuring this out as I went. So yeah, you'll have to probably rewrite a lot of this out. So here is the next portion of the pattern you will need. Okay, and then we went over a lot of this, so let's see here, make this easier for you. Okay, let's do this up to the 31st row. Now, right here where you see the arrow pointing, that's going to be pointing at row 29, and row 30, you will start with 4 beads. Remember, where it's highlighted in pink is where we start. Where it's highlighted in yellow is where the repeat starts. But on row 29 and 30, you will start with 4 beads instead of 7. Okay, so, and right here, you start with 3 beads instead of 5. Okay, let's move on to row 32 on down. And oh boy, let's just see if I can use this to help cover some of that up for you so that it's not too much to look at all at once. There we go. Okay. So there is 32 through 38. And you will note off to the side, I have the arrows pointing at these 2 rounds. So round 35 and 36 start with 2 beads. Again, down here, the arrows are pointing to both of these rounds. So round 37 and 38 start with 3 beads. Now I have a pink dot on this yellow because I put this as being the start of the repeat. That's an error. This is the start of your repeat. So on row 37, this is the start of your repeat. You'll go boom, boom, come back down here, 5 beads, and then right back over to where the pink dot is, okay? That's your repeat there. Now moving up this way, you will recall on our very first Fleur De Lis that we worked out, your repeat will go on row 39 from 4 plain, jump over this, and then you will work your 5 bead. In your second round of Fleur De Lis, this is your start where the neon pink is, but instead of starting with 5, you will start with 3. And your repeat is going to be 5 bead. So you'll go from 4 plain to 5 bead, 4 plain, 1 bead, 4 plain, 1 bead, 4 plain, then jump over here where it says 5B for 5 bead. Okay? So I'm going to hold this up for you. There we go. That is the remainder of the pattern. Here you will start with 2 beads instead of 3. Now, the second Fleur De Lis section that you start, your row 41 is where that will end as far as this column goes. Once you get to row 42, you jump over here where it says row 42, 43, and 44, because now you're starting your third round, your third section of Fleur De Lis, and those are going to start exactly as the very first section of Fleur De Lis. And that is where this begins. Boom. Then you just come up here and start working all the way down. But in your third section of Fleur De Lis, go ahead and finish all the way through, just like your second. And start up at the top for your fourth. Okay, it just keeps going over and over and over again. Every other section of Fleur De Lis, your first one, you will end all the way through this one column. Your second section of Fleur De Lis, you will end over here. Your third section of Fleur De Lis will end here, and your fourth section, actually your fourth section, I didn't end it over here. The last 3 rounds, I skipped and just worked 3 rounds of plain single crochet. So in my fourth section of Fleur De Lis, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the fourth section, the 41st row was where I stopped adding beads. I no longer added any more beads, and I just worked 3 rounds of straight plain single crochet, which is what is in the stitching up under here. Oh, there we go. So yes. So that is the whole pattern. I do hope that you can pick the pattern up so that you can mark it up any way that you need to. Oh, that's a appointment for Merlin. Grooming appointment. So yeah, you can work that up any way you need to. Okay, so I just finished working this last 44th row. So now I'm going to start working on the section, the last section, the 4th section here, and of the Fleur De Lis, and these are the ones that start in the middle of a floor. So from where I worked this before, right here, I have all of my where to start and where the repeat begins marked. Again, we start in the hot pink, the repeats begin with the neon yellow. I already started. I thought I should jump on camera and show you. So I'll just undo my last 2 stitches. Okay. So instead of starting with 4 single crochet, which is how we very first started our first Fleur De Lis, we're going to start over here with the 4 bead. No, I'm sorry, forgive me. We're going to start right here with the 1 bead. And as you can see, there is 1 bead right there. So we go 1 bead. Move these out of the way. And then we work 1 plain, 4 bead, 2 plain, 1 bead, 7 plain, and that is precisely how it is laid out like this. What we are working, our very first stitch is, if you do pick up this pattern, the very first stitch, when working these in between sections, here's our first section of floor. This is how you will begin the second section and the 4th section. You see the bold line going right up the middle of the pattern here. This bold line, you see there's a bold line here, and there's one right here. The stitch just before the bold line is your first stitch of each row when working these sections. Section 2 and section 4. Okay, when working section 1 and section 3, it will be worked exactly how we did it the very first time in the video part 2. So whenever I get down to the bottom, I'm not exactly sure what to do because this is my last section of Fleur De Lis. I will jump on and let you know what I do from there. I don't think I will be completing it all the way to here. Normally what you would need to do in working the second section is completing it, like I had mentioned before, completing it to the 42nd row. Do not complete the 42nd row as written here. Complete it as written right here, and then row 43, and then row 44. Nothing special changed about it. Work them exactly as they are written, with the exception of, you know, you only work this once kind of a thing like we did in the very first one. So I think what I'm actually going to wind up doing is working to the 41st row. And I think that's where I'm going to end this before I cut my work and add my closure. Okay, so I will be back. I just wanted to show you how this is going to work whenever you do pause the screen. You start on the hot pink. Your hot neon yellow is where your repeat starts. Okay, hopefully that clears it all up. I know it's very confusing. It was confusing for me to even figure it out, but that's how it works out. Okay, so I have been literally putting this off all day. Now it's nighttime. I can't put it off anymore. I have to cut days and days and days of work. When I say days and days and days, I was sick a little bit in the middle of making this, so I wound up not being able to work for a few days, but this is a lot of work, and I've never cut... Oh, Marlon, hold on a minute. Okay, I've never cut crochet before. I did make a little sample using this thread, 10 by 10, and I cut it. It really didn't unravel. It's slightly frayed, but it didn't unravel. I'm certain I'm going to lose beads. I have it folded exactly how I want to cut it. So I'm certain I'm going to lose beads, but here we go. Oh my gosh, I got to get some pins. Okay, here is the top. Fits perfectly. This is the 5-inch top. I did leave a link down below where I got a multi-pack of these. It's multiple sizes. This is the 5-inch. Okay, so I have that on there. Make sure it's all the way snug up in there so that I know where to cut. And I think I'm going to cut right here. And go into there like that and come off to the side. Okay, that's where I'm going to cut. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, I'm nervous. Okay. I'm going to do the easy side first, just to get a feel for the destruction of it. So I'm not trying to play this up, y'all. I've seriously been putting this off all day. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. Hey, that's not so bad. What was I so nervous about? Well, I wasn't nervous the whole time. I don't know what you were talking about. Okay. You see how this right here where the bead was? That's where it, oh yeah. Okay, it is starting to fray just a little bit. All right, now it's this side over here with the beads. Oh my goodness. All right. This feels wrong. All that bead work. Oh yeah, there goes cutting past the beads. Okay. Oh, my hands are actually shaking. Oh, I didn't want to do this. Yeah, my hands are actually shaking. I did not want to cut on this beautiful work. Oh, you just have no idea. Okay. Yeah, that had me so nervous. Okay, let me get some thread. I'm just going to use the same thread and a needle. I'll be right back. Okay, now I've never done this before, and I haven't watched any videos on doing this. I'm just going based on common sense of the construction of this. So bear with me. I haven't done any practice or anything. I'm just, you know what I'm acting like right now? It's 1924. I am a young girl who knows a little bit about crochet, cruising through the shops, and I found this beautiful pattern book with this pattern catching my attention. And I'm just going to go based on what the instructions say, which is nothing. The instructions say nothing because you're just supposed to automatically know. So that is what I'm doing. I'm learning just like somebody in 1924 who might know a little bit about crochet, but nothing else would do. Okay. Oh, Merlin. He's having a time of it. Well, all right, let me try to get this in here as best I can. I might have to pull this up onto my lap and do this off camera. You know what might be helpful is if I just pick a corner and put my needle in it, just to hold it up in there, you know? Yeah, I might have to do that. Like that. Let's see here. Try to come up this way. I'm certain that those of you watching who have experience with this stuff, this is no big deal. Please bear in mind, this is my very first time ever doing anything like this. So go easy on me. Where's the hole? There we go. Okay. I did tie a pretty good bead size knot down at the bottom here. I sure hope I did this right. I'm so afraid I did not. But it's too late now. Going this way. Okay, most of this I'm going to have to do off camera because this is really fiddly for me under the camera, but I'm going to go back into that same hole. Look at this. The frayed part is exposed. That needs to be up in there. Stay. Stay, you. Come on. I must be trying to work past a bead or something. I can't get it in. It won't push through. I must be going through a bead. I surely was. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, no, this is messy. Oh, this is the part I was afraid to do. This entire pattern where I'm at right now is the part I was terrified to do. Okay, and I think that's what I'm going to do is go around. I just unthreaded my needle. Is go around each stitch twice, just because this stuff is number 30 thread. It's very, very fine. So I want there to be reinforcement because I do intend to put my cell phone in this. Okay, I am going to do a little bit of work up this way, and then I'll jump back on and show you my progress. What a mess. It might be easier for me with this on my lap under my face because under the camera it's a little fiddly for me, and with the weight of this has weight. Listen. This has weight to it, and the weight is trying to pull it out of the frame constantly. So if I had it on like a pillow on my lap, it could lay still. So I'm going to be right back. I'll show you my progress. I'll just work my way up here. Okay, so I've worked my way over quite a bit. I stuffed too much on this side to where now I really have to stretch it to get it to fit this side, but it will fit. That was my fault for stuffing too much over here. I didn't give myself enough room. So, okay, make sure that, and I didn't tell you, I feel terrible. The last 3 rounds I worked were just plain crochet, just plain single crochet. Okay. Coming down at an angle. So that's what I've been doing, is going around each stitch twice. Okay, next stitch over. So what I'll do is jump over to the next stitch. Come down here and then hit that exactly like that again. So that way I'm hitting each go around twice. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do this all the way across, and I'm going to get the other side. And here you can see on the other side where the last 3 rounds I worked plain single crochet as the portion that I wanted under the frame. Okay, here is how it's looking. Yeah, I just stuffed way too much in over here on this side. Oh well, it is what it is, right? But here's how it's looking. It's working out. Not bad. I don't usually go around patting myself on the back over little things, but this is my first time ever doing anything like this with no instruction, and I'm feeling pretty doggone good about it. So there's that. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm ready to sew up the bottom of the bag. I have the closure completely sewn on. There we go. So the tricky thing about the bottom is that our first round of single crochet, plain single crochet, are completely rolled in. So I just have to keep fudging with it the whole way. But I went ahead and joined right here on a corner. I just flattened it out and joined on a corner. Now I'm going to add my thread, and of course my thread is completely beaded up for the fringe. I have no idea how to do the fringe. There is no direction. I'm just going to have to look at the picture. I have a vague idea of what I'm going to do, but when I get the bottom sewn up, I'll practice with it a little bit before I jump on here and show you what I will do. But first things first, and I'm going to be sewing this up the right side out. I think what I'm going to do is sew it up like with a row of single crochet, and then come back this way working some fringe loops. I think I'm going to do it in loops. Okay. So you get a little bit more tension on that. All right. Going to chain 1. And yeah, it's going to be fussy. Go back in there, work a single crochet. I'm going to have to keep rolling this up, probably just about every other stitch. When one side is rolled up, the other side wants to flip back down. Kind of annoying. Okay. So there we go. I'm just going to work 1 row of single crochet all across. I'm going to do my best to match stitch for stitch, but I have no confidence that I'm actually going to be able to get it 100% stitch for stitch. I'm just going to go for it. Okay, so I will be right back when I finish seaming this shut. Okay, so here's what I came up with for the fringe. It's a little wonky, a little fidgety. I don't even really know how much I'm gonna like it. But okay, so I just worked a piece of fringe in. So now I'm gonna skip one stitch and jump over to the next. And under camera, it's gonna be really difficult for me to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna skip this stitch and come over to the next and pull some beads down. Try to match them to the length of these ones over here. That's a little long. Maybe a few more off. Okay. Then I will just hook the thread and pull it through and pull it through. So that's what I've been doing. Here's how it looks. I mean, theirs are beautiful and twisted. I don't really know how they managed that. There's zero instruction as to how to do the fringe. So I really don't even know that I'm gonna like this. Let me go ahead and secure this really quick. Yeah, I don't think I like that very much at all. There we go. Yeah, I'm not wild about that. Just doesn't look that good. I don't know what you guys think. I kind of like it just as is with the Greek key on the bottom. I was thinking about maybe doing a couple of, or not a couple, but one round of beads along the bottom, just along the seam, just to make it look nice. I don't think I particularly care for the fringe. This is the only way I can think of to do the fringe. Maybe you have your own way of doing fringe, but I don't think I'm going to add the fringe because it's just a little bit too old-fashioned for me, and I absolutely want to carry this out and about. And my personal opinion, that doesn't mean that anybody has to agree with me, is that it's a little bit old-fashioned, and I definitely want to... Oh, I'm undoing some of my work. I definitely want to carry this around with me. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do one row of beads across the entire bottom. So I'm going to chain one and turn. Just a minute. Let me push some of these beads back down. Okay, so here's what I would like to do. Push those up. Come back into my first stitch here. And now that that metal closure is on there, it's very heavy. It's tugging. Okay. And I'm just going to work one bead stitch into every single crochet across. Just like that. I may come back up, chain one turn and come back and do it the other way too so that I have some beads on both sides. I'll be right back. Let me work my way all the way to the end and we'll see how that looks. Okay, so this is my first row. Some of the beads are from working with it, some of the beads. Anyways, here's my first row going this way. So what I'm doing to keep, sorry, this part here keeps trying to drag my purse down the crack of my couch. So here's what I'm doing to keep the beads parallel so that one stack of beads isn't on top of the other. I'm simply working back loop only on the return pass. So I didn't start that because y'all know how to start a new row. So I'm just working back loop only. It's going to be, hopefully you can see, I'm going into that back loop and drag a bead down, complete my single crochet. Okay, then going into the back loop of the next stitch and repeat. So I'm going to repeat this all the way to the end, and it is allowing them to be parallel with each other instead of stacked. There we go. I think it looks all right. Adds a tiny bit more length. And then I'm going to add my chain, and I will be right back. Okay. I'm going to get this over to my lap where I can work a little easier. I like it. There it is. There is how the bottom turned out. So I have an even string of beads. I know from handling it down here, the beads got a little bit funky, but they go right back to shape. You push them around. But I have a single strand of beads on both sides now. I went ahead and added my chain. This is the 24-inch chain, so this is the short chain. I left a link for where I picked these chains up. Don't waste your time on Amazon. They don't have anything that looks anything like this. This is the color bronze, antique bronze or something like that, and I thought it went with this really, really well. It's a really nice little design, and it's small. Amazon, my gosh, I bought 2 sets of chains. One was big, one was smaller, just slightly smaller, but still way too big. And then I went on Etsy to a shop that specifically is for DIY purse supplies. So this is the 24-inch here. And then we have the 48-inch that I bought so that it hangs way down on the shoulder. So I bought both sizes that this shop carried. So that is what that chain looks like. It's really, really nice. Okay, here is the bag. I really need to manipulate these beads. Make them all look normal. Okay, I really like it. Let's see. I already tested it. Obviously, I can't throw my phone in there because I'm filming with it. But I have my phone cases that are the exact size of my phone. And I have 2 of them here, and they both go in there no problem. And I've got a little lipstick and a lip liner and a big old fat lip gloss. Everything goes in there just fine. So I'm super stoked about this. Oh my gosh, I love this bag so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, obviously, I want to know what you think. I'm super excited about this. I know a lot of you in the first video. I am just finishing filming this video the day after I uploaded that first video. Part 2 has already been finished and uploaded. But I know that some of you said you can't make this, you'll never make it, and that's okay. But maybe down the line, you might get a little bored and want to try something different, and you might watch this video again and see if you don't feel inspired, because I've never made one of these before, ever. I simply grabbed the thread and the hook and went for it. So yeah, I mean, don't cut yourself too short and say that you'll never ever make one whenever you never know. You might feel a little burr up under you and make one day. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me on this one, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.